So come to the front viewport, and I want the shank to come up just a little bit higher than halfway of this halo plate here. So I'm going to draw a guideline here. Now I'm going to blend from the bottom of that guideline to the shank. So the command is blend curve. The bottom part of this curve and this part on the shank. We've got this dialog box come up. Now 2 is facing the wrong way, so if I hit flip 2, now we've got the blended curve going the correct way. So I'm okay with that shape there. I quite like that. I'm going to press OK. I can delete that, and I will mirror this across the right axis. Select those and our outside finger rail, and I will trim off, and now I can join. Now it says we are unable to join curves, and there's a reason for that, and the reason is that this curve here actually overlaps further past this curve. If I zoom in, you'll see that this one comes further than the ends of this one. So I've got these overlapping curves here. But if I select this curve here, and then I split with this curve and this curve, deselect the bulk of that curve, then I've got those overlapped sections left, and I can delete those. So now I can select these 3, join those together, and we've got 3 curves joined into one open curve. Now I will rebuild this, but at the moment, if I turn my control points on, these 2 control points are in a vertical alignment. So when I offset this curve, we're going to maintain that vertical alignment, which means the tops of both of the curves, the inside and the outside curves, will be in the same position. And I'll show you that by offset 1.95 millimeters. And click there, and you can see that the top of this curve and the top of this curve are the same. If these control points weren't in a vertical alignment, say if they were to be out a little bit, then you can see that the offset curve has offset in that slightly down position, and the tips of these aren't in line. So by offsetting this inside curve first, and then rebuilding it with a control point count of 31, that will allow me to easily maintain the height of this without it changing when I rebuild this outer curve. Rebuild, control point count 31. Okay, now I'm free to turn my control points on and fiddle with this outer curve shape. I just want to lessen that curve a little, and I might drag that in a bit. And I can also turn my control points on, delete this 2nd and 4th, and I'm free to fiddle with this a little bit and give that a little bit of a shape. Now we are going to have gems set into the outside of the shank, so I don't want to make the tips of these too thin. I don't want to come back anywhere like this, or like this, because then the gems could protrude through to the inside. So I'll back that off a little bit. I'll put a little bit of a shape there, just to make that a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. And now I can grab my curve, which was offset 1.8 millimeters, and that curve there, and I can trim both of those, press enter, and join those up. Join. And now it's just a case of closing these up with a curve, joining those together, and that's our shank. So come to perspective, and we've got 2 closed curves. You can see that in our objects panel, and with both of those selected, I can extrude curve, and now we can extrude that to the width that we want. So for a 1.3 millimeter gem plus 0.5 either side of the 1.3 millimeter gem is 2.3. That's our finished width. plus 0.15 for our tolerance equals 2.45, and because we're coming out from the center, we need to divide that by 2. And have a look in our bounding box. We've got a width of 2.45 millimeters. Perfect. And now I might break the inside edge or fillet the inside edge of the shank. So fillet edge with a radius of 0.6, and I can just select those two there, press enter and enter again, and you can see that the shank is starting to take shape. If you find that these inside edges here are a little bit hard, we can also fillet those and maybe take that down to about 0.3 and select those, and select those, enter, enter, and that sort of soften those off a little bit there. Okay, now let's have a think about our gems on the shank. I can grab this gem here, and this box here, if I hold Alt and drag that out, then I've made a duplicate of this gem here. And I know that's 1.3 millimeters, you can see that there. So I'm going to come to our front view. I'm just going to maneuver this into place on that shank. Until it's somewhere like that. Now this curve here I'm going to duplicate. So Control C and Control V, and I want to split this curve at the center point of that gem and then somewhere down here about halfway. I want these gems to come down about halfway, so I'm going to split the end of this down here somewhere. So the command is split, and now I've got an option of splitting with a point, and if I click that, then I can zoom in here, snap to that point there, which is the center of the gem, come down and click down here, right mouse click, and now I'll split that curve into 2 parts using the point command. So I can delete that, and now I've got this second curve here. So I can array these along that curve, array curve, select our path, which is this one here, and now I've got the same dialog box come up. Now this time I want to go for distance between items, and for a 1.3 millimeter gem, from the center of that gem to the next gem, it needs to be 1.3 plus 0.2, so a little bit of spacing between them. So 1.5, and then I can press OK, and you can see that those gems are arrayed along that curve. Now I want these to terminate at halfway, so this is a little bit too long. So if I Control Z, then I can split this curve again with a point, and I'll just split that up a little bit more, maybe there, and delete that little excess bit. And then I can array curve along that curve again, still maintaining 1.5 millimeter spacing. And now I've got the correct amount of gems. I can select this one and type cell children to select all of those, and mirror across the Y axis. And now we've got our gems on the shank. Perfect.